Welcome to the pile. It's been a long time. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holiday week. Glad you all are here. Today we have, just a kind of nice little catch up stream. There's a lot going on and just conflicting schedules and stuff happens. And it's been I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks since we've had a pod. This is like episode, I think 17. I think we're rolling. I'm one of your hosts, Tyler Courtney, and this is Barack Davis.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we're here just to, share more love of Poke and Pokemon news and just our thoughts on the game and just hang out, talk Poke. Main thing. So we're just going to talk about some news from Japan, new tournament structure that came out that's already in effect for about a week and a half or so, maybe 2 weeks now at this point. But definitely interesting type of view here. And then we'll get into the Sacramento and Stuttgart regional championships. Brock, how you been? How was your holiday week?
Good. Just chilled, didn't really do too much.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is the most American holiday ever made. Obviously, I don't think anyone else really celebrates Thanksgiving unless I'm unaware of it. But we just do absolutely nothing. We just have a huge dinner and just hang out and, drink. That's about it. Like, it's literally that Thanksgiving is. I think I found the craziest thing out too is like, do you have alcohol at your Thanksgiving?
No, we do not.
I saw a podcast, like a sports one, they were talking about it, and they would get punished for bringing that to Thanksgiving. I was like, that's like the only one. Like, it's like that and Independence Day, July 4th. And then, like, all those, like, fake American holidays just seem like they're just drinking holidays to me in the Midwest. And so, like, the fact that some people in the South just don't even go near it, which is fine, not pro or against alcohol or soberism, whatever you want to call it. But it just caught me off guard. I was just like, what? So that was just strange to me. But yeah, we just had a little family dinner. It was all my wife's side of the family. So that's like 30 people. It's so many people. It's almost too big. It's massive, but it was great. And so I'm hoping everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I was mid drink and talking there. We were talking about a little bit of poke here, and I know Brock, you've taken kind of a break from standard format because you're not planning on going anything till San Antonio, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then we have, I think it's Toronto is the only NA regional in between, right? That sounds right.
Yes.
And then I think there's Dortmund on the EU side. That's about it, I think. Maybe there's an Australian regional thrown in there. But it's all going to be in this brand new format that we haven't talked about. We've previewed quite a bit, but haven't really talked about since, prior to LAIC and currently to now. We're not going to mention anything with LAIC because that format's gone and whatnot, but we're going to hop into the one thing that changes a little bit. Pokemon announced back on, what's this date here? November 11th. Wow, so a while ago. That the entry for day 2 is now being expanded. Or in other words, they're lowering the requirement of, what's the right word? Points? What's the right word for better record in this scenario? Because it's like 3 per win, 1 per loss. Like, they just call it points.
2 points.
Yeah, they're lowering the amount of points to qualify into day 2. And they are saying this is feedback from the community to really take full advantage of the resources of people who travel far and wide to these tournaments and really get their money's worth, even if they can't make day 2. And this comes after Louisville, where no X and 2s made cut. And so, like, people going in felt disheartened, disappointed. It's so back and forth to me, and it's confusing because like everyone was like, well, why am I in day two if I can't make it? But then they make this change to where more people are now in day two, and like I know, like I think it was almost 300 players made day two in Sacramento, which
It
is
was like
insane.
340, I believe.
That which is crazy. 340 players in day two. So if you're playing in a regional NA wise, depending on the size, that means you would need a 5-2-1 record to make day two now instead of 6-2. So it allows you to tie a game in between. And then I don't know what the changes would be if it was one of the smaller ones with only 7 rounds.
It's always 5-2-1, so it'd be 4-2-1.
It's always 5-2-1 no matter what, because they didn't say the
Well,
actual points
we'll
they made it
never.
to.
So basically, if it ever drops to 7 rounds, it'll be below 1,000 players, and we'll never hit that.
Yeah, I don't think anywhere soon will
Not
be at
in
that.
NA or even EU, like maybe an Australian regional or something like that.
I even like the Buenos Aires like special events where like I gotta have to back and look, but like they had more than 700 players, I think, which is
Yeah, I don't
crazy.
know the exact cutoff though.
Yeah, so but either way, for an NA regional and most of the EU regionals, 5-2-1 is now the cut to make day two, which is cool because you could then win out on day two and not necessarily make top cut, but you could still win your
You
box.
bubble money.
Yeah, you bubble money
Bubble money.
potentially. Like you're in the mix a little bit. Like and it definitely it seems like I don't know. It might be more of a hope thing, but if you get a top 64 and that becomes one of your five finishes, and that's all power to you. Like well done, you made it. Like you have to still win out all the way on day two, but like if you could do it, go for it. So I think it's a cool change. I don't think it really changes anything like at the top level. Like most of the top players and the people who are aiming for those events, like there'll still be the whales of CP that are getting 900 to 1,000 CP from just going to every event and playing well at every single one, like the Brent Tonnesons of the world and whatnot. Like those guys are always just going to have a ton of it, and it doesn't really affect that mindset. But like for the guys like me, I would love to make my first day too, and this makes it a little easier technically. But super cool. Because I think obviously Brock made day two in Louisville. I think I was 4-3. So like if I would have just changed two results, then I would have made it. And like I know I could do that based off like me kind of thinking back on the tournament and whatnot. If I still ran the same deck. Anyways, but that's kind of cool. So new tournament structure is sick. And then did I already mention black and white?
No.
No, yeah, and then so we have the new black and white stuff. Can confirm black bolts and white flare sets will release on June 6th in Japan. This is like super exciting for me because I love black and white as games. I know Brock does too, and this hopefully means they're also going to remake Gen 5. Maybe it'll be a Let's Go type of thing. I know Brilliant Diamond and Sparkling Pearl weren't the coolest games, but just like it's cool to see that that's potentially in the cards as well of black and white, and hopefully they're still doing partner Pokemon at this point, or will this be the first partner Pokemon set? Do you think?
Probably gonna be the first partner Pokemon.
Yeah, so that'll be our August/September set. So that's super cool. I can't wait to see it. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Zekrom and Pikachu and whatnot. So we'll take it. I love a good Zekrom card. So let's hop straight into it. We're gonna hop right into Sacramento. Brand new format. And it seems like not a lot has changed going into Sacramento. And congrats to Landon Kettler, who won the whole thing with Miraidon, which is crazy. On your screen now is the day one breakdown of the meta. And really two decks just stand out. It's Miraidon and then Lost Zone Box. Any thoughts here with Brock?
Yeah, testing up until the tournament, my group kind of settled on that Regidrago and Gardevoir were probably the best two decks in the format. I knew Miraidon was gonna jump. I didn't think it was gonna jump as much as it did. But also, like going into every tournament's kind of just a crapshoot because we're just so wide of a tournament right now. So
Yeah, and the big thing with that is too is just like, especially going in with testing, like the Gardevoir mindset, because a lot of people were on Gardevoir, especially kind of that new secret boxy type of list. And I don't know if you guys are going to play that or not, but like that Turbo
that's what.
Miraidon or that Turbo Gardevoir list was definitely growing because it just gained a better matchup in Lost Box. You could trade well into it, whatnot. They can't really knock out your Gardevoir EX, and you can take multiple prizes. Um, and so like Gardevoir was just at a good spot, and then like all of a sudden, it seems like with Miraidon back in the mix, like you also gain that bad matchup, and Miraidon didn't really change. It just changed the Terra Pokemon. So like maybe Miraidon was just secretly hiding in the wings this whole time, and just no one really kind of dug into it. But also, as I say that, Miraidon was only less than 5%. I'm trying to find it here on the day two decks of Sacramento. I can't even see it. Palkia. Oh, it was 10th. It was 3.6% of the day two decks in Sacramento. Um, and so, like, it's just like, it's very strange to see it climb up and do so well. The top eight broke down like this. Five Regidragos, which I don't think anyone's surprised about. It's still the best deck in format if it does what it wants to do properly. One Goldengo and two Miraidon, and the two Miraidon in the final. Unfortunately, Victor came up short. I was rooting for Goldengo very hard, and it plays the new Energy Search Pro, which I think is incredible. I was very underhyped on this card in our set preview, and yeah, I don't know. Something about it just didn't seem right. But Goldengo just took full advantage of that. It also plays the new Togekiss, which just makes this even, I guess, meme more. Like it just overall more of a meme in general. But Goldengo is also rising in that kind of popularity. It's a very easy deck to run, especially if you learn the sequencing. Um, so did you guys play any Goldengo before they went to Sacramento? Because I think what three people went
Um,
to from Memphis went to Sacramento.
five.
Fine.
Um, not really. Or there was a couple people that ended up playing it, but it was never from the core group. It was never a real option. Um, just because Goldango was still, in my opinion, isn't the greatest. I think it's just a meme. At the end of the day, um, I don't really see it being more than that. Just because you're playing a bad ace spec to be able to accelerate, and you don't have consistency behind it.
Yeah, it
Um,
does miss a follow up for sure with the Energy Search
yeah,
Pro.
exactly. And it's like it's where it's always been, where it's like it's very strong when it gets to play, but it only plays about maybe 2/3 of the games it plays. So it's like it's one of
Yeah.
those things where it's like there's a like Dylan did pretty well with it. I think he went 5-3, um, or
Ooh.
4-4. I'm not exactly sure,
Sure, somewhere in the mix.
but he played it, and then our buddy Danny played it, who hit 4 fire decks the first 4 rounds.
Oh no, gouging
So
fire. Let's go.
it was gouging fire, Ceruledge, just a bunch of just random decks,
Oh
and
my
it's
god, I
like
didn't even think
okay.
about the Ceruledge. Oh yeah, there's too many decks. And we'll talk about that too here in a second. Um, but yeah, the main two differences, and we'll hop back to Maradon for a second, because I meant to not mention it. We mentioned Landon winning and Kenneth getting second. Shout out to Kenneth and them. Um, the only differences in the list, one had a few more Pokemon in it, played the Ursaluna and stuff like that. They obviously played the Pikachu. But one was using Irida as its main supporter instead of Arven, which I like this a lot. Obviously, if you're not an experienced Murano player, it seems weird. Like, why would you play Irida instead of like? But like, just being able to get the Radiant Greninja, the Luminion, the Iron Bundle, just for free, plus the item, especially only running two tools in the deck. Like Arven just seems not as great compared to that. I don't know. I feel like you get more value with Irida. But the winning list did play the four Arven, and no Ursaluna, which I thought was strange. Have you been playing Ursaluna in Maridon?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a
So
must-have, especially with you're already playing DTE.
the funny thing is I think the second place list, if you flip the Iridas for Arvins, is just the better list, by far. And that's the list that like I've been testing a lot.
Yeah, I played it with Irida at a challenge this last weekend, and it went great. I the only game I lost, I partially misplayed against Turbo Warring Moon, and I bundled one back that had damage on it already from something. I can't remember what I hit it with. But I already had damage. Or no, he damaged himself already with gouging, with frenzy gouging, and so like, oh, that's I'll just bundle it back and save that knockout for later and knock out a different. I knocked out his Fez or something like that, and then they just had the pieces and they retreated it to then play Sada and get a fresh moon out, and that kind of. I don't know if it lost me the game, but I also whiffed two generators, and that's just part of the right on stuff. But yeah, Magneton is the real hero of this deck. This card is so good. It allows you to play Raichu back in the deck. It lets you hands for just a single energy attachment without playing any generators, and which is why I don't like. I can't say his name right ever. Kettler's build as much because it's not playing the Radiant Greninja. Like I just don't understand how they're getting energy in the discard pile to being able to use Magnet. Like you're just assuming they're gonna get knockouts your opponent, then be able to use Magneton. But like just the draw power and the acceleration of energy, just seems like you have to play Radiant Greninja or some type of discard in that way. The only way Keller was doing it was Secret Box and Ultra Balls, but like you don't even. Yeah, he plays three. But like I just Greninja's such a good card. I can't wait for Radiance to leave either. That's gonna be great in rotation. But yeah, so Maridon's sick, Goldengo's sick. There's nothing new with Regidrago. Some of them, I guess there's a little bit new. We can talk about Executor real fast. Couple of lists playing the new Alolan Executor. If you didn't know what it did, the main attack that we're talking about is Swinging Sphene. What's a Sphene? Do you know what a Sphene is? I couldn't tell you. Flip a coin if heads, knock out your opponent's active basic Pokemon. If tails, knock out one of your opponent's bench basic Pokemon. Me not being a Registered Drago guy, and me not knowing this, and from your judge perspective, who chooses which Pokemon's knocked out? Do I pick based off the coin flip?
Yes.
Okay, so so if it is tails, I get to pick any of the basics on the bench. It's not like they pick. Yeah,
Knock out one of yours, and like the one of yours is a specific.
Knock out one of your opponents. Yeah, so you get to choose. Okay. Thank you, Judge Brock. So that's been creeping into the list. Hisuian Gudra V-Star is back in list. I'm assuming it's just really good into the mirror. It really stops Lost Box from doing cram things early on. Or, it's good against the Radiant Zard play at the end of games in the mirror. I like Hisuian Gudra V-Star in the list. Was it in your testing group's list? Or did you play? What text did you add in your Drago list that you guys were testing?
So we weren't playing any text. We were legit just playing the one that got 7th. Brent Townsend's list,
which is
or fourth.
Brent.
The one that has like 100. Like if you look at it, it has like 100 different
Yeah, this
people.
is the one that
Like
Zhang Ang was playing pretty early on. I
yes.
love the Noctowl. The Noctowl,
Um,
I'm surprised people aren't playing that yet.
it's clunky. It's very clunky, but it just allows you to piece together everything at the end of the game.
Yeah,
Um,
for
uh,
sure.
we were
Um,
testing this, but nobody was comfortable enough to like. If I went to Sacramento, I would have played. I would have played Drago. But nobody else was comfortable enough to play it, so nobody ended up playing it.
yeah, and I love the way you phrase that because being comfortable on a deck is so massive. Especially like when I talk about it, you hear me say misplay a lot. That's just a lack of comfortability and the extra thought process you need.
It's a lack of practice
Yeah,
at the end of the
100%.
day.
Live or in paper or whatever. Like obviously in paper practice is way better than live, but it's just like you gotta drill out games to be fully comfortable in every matchup. And there are so many decks now underneath Drago. Obviously, I think Drago is like S tier and everything else is A or below. Um, to really know how to maneuver through those. And so yeah, Reggie Drago is still so good. It really is. How do you feel about that Maridon Drago matchup? Because obviously Landon and Kenneth both had to go through a Drago to get to the final, and I know it kind of stirred up some stuff on the interwebs. I think who was it? It might have been
So
Grant saying it was a free
yeah.
win, and then he ends up losing to it in top cut. Like it's just like, or someone said it. It may not have been Grant, but someone said
So
it.
if you can establish two Dragos like going first,
Yeah,
it is an auto, or it on paper should be an auto win. Like if you can set up two with either a Cleffa or somehow getting cards in your hand, even just like having a research the following turn, it is free because like you're gonna be able to just combo together, and they have to go boss to win. Um,
yeah, and you can't ride you twice. That's my main thing. I agree with you almost completely. I think it's closer than people think because Maridon is so much faster, and they can just if they have a really great start and they can just boss all of your teal masks down, like yeah, that's just free pricing for you. But like you said, if it's just two Drago V stars surviving and they get the energy on board and they can just run through you with either Lost Impact on Giratina. Even Hisui and Gudra V Star's attack is super good into that. But the main one is Dragapult still. Like 200 and moving damage around is just easy way to set up knockouts. You have the way to do 280. You could even do a Lilian Executor if you're playing it, and because everything in that deck is basic. And the
yeah,
fact that you can't go for it.
Executor is really good. Executor is also very good because if you're able to go turn two, attack with Drago, and then you go, especially in Grant Shin's list, if you go turn two, attack with Drago, onto either a Raikou or a Raichu or anything that has 210 or less HP. If you're able to do the Alolan Executor, get the energies into your hand and power up your second Drago behind, you've won. The game's over. Because they're not going to be able to go through two Drago V stars. The first attack.
Oh, I didn't even read it. Yeah, you may attach any number of basic energy cards from your hand to your Pokemon any way you like. That's broken. And then you could that
So
150.
you can do 150, and then, like I said, if it has 210 or less, so you do the 150, and
And
then
then
you
you
do the Dragon
snipe.
Bolt the following turn for
Yep.
4.
Yep. That's incredible.
Again, doesn't always work out like that. Sometimes you have to take 2 turns to go bop bop with the Dragon Bolt attack.
Because that is still a lot of energy that you need to have in hand to pull that off.
Well, with Grant's list, he's playing 4 Earthen Vessels
Yeah.
and a superior energy retrieval. So this build is geared around the Alolan Executor to be able to pull it off more
Yeah,
often.
they even cut a Dragapult for it.
Yeah,
Um,
but he cut the Dragapult because you have other options. Like you're not like the Alolan Executor is a very good like early attack.
yeah. And it just makes you not, like you said, like it makes not as reliant on teal masks. Obviously, drawing cards is sick. It's a very good ability. Will always be a good ability. But You just, if you're able to get them in hand with one vessel, attach fire for turn, and then tropical frenzy for 150, like you're cooking. The main one is, I think, the big switch. The only real new trainer card added to this list is the Terra Orb, which is just great for finding both Executor and Dragapult. Nothing too, and you can find Teal Masks with
And
it.
Teal Mask.
Yeah,
Teal Mask is the big one.
yeah, but you still put the 4 Nest as well, so like that's also good too. But Terra Orb just
Well,
seems really
now
good.
you're playing 5 nests.
Yeah, basically 5 Nest balls. Yeah, that's actually it's pretty good. Other cool things that we won't talk about too long when it comes to Sacramento. Chen Pao finished 14th, and there's nothing fancy about this Chen Pao. It is just Chen Pao with 1-1 Palkia. It's incredible by this player, who I just missed their name when I was clicking the deck list. Andy Zhang. Shout out to you for bringing back an archetype that we thought was dead. There's a Roaring Moon and an Ancient Box here in the top 16. We're talking old school Ancient Box. Only one Moon EX, Petra Runts. We're playing a Brute Bonnet because we have Bonding Mochi, which is kind of cool. I like that a lot. Like, more damage is great. Like, you don't care if your single prize attacking Pokemon's poisoned. Like, it's gonna get knocked out anyway. So, might as well play a Binding Mochi. I think it's a cool deck. One Turbo Moon, and then Terapagos kind of fell off a little bit, but just not at the top end, I guess is a bad way to put it. There's 4. I guess if we're counting Cloth, which we'll talk about in a second. There's 3 true Terapagos in top 32. But the last spicy deck that we'll talk about is Terapagos Cloth. This deck is sick. I can't think of another word other than sick. It plays Oranguru V to find your tool cards. The main new spice is, like I said, Terapagos EX with the Area 0. Yeah, a huge bench is super cool. I don't know if I'd cut 2 Cloth for 2 Turtle, but it worked out for them. And I know it was very popular in Stuttgart for how well it did here as well. Like, it's a good deck. I mean, I think it's firmly a C or B deck. Any thoughts on the Cloth?
I think just this is like the first one of the first times we're seeing just the power of the colorless with the double turbo. Like just turtle with the double turbo. So
Yeah.
I think there's so many decks that can just be made from it. I've been testing a Charizard turtle deck for a little bit.
Oh, I've seen that on the.
Um,
Oh, yeah. It looks insane because then you don't have to always use double turbo. You could also accelerate fire to
yep,
it. And then I'm assuming in that list you play the knockdown line because you have
yep.
terrors all the time.
I just play a 4/4. Mine's not like a lot of the people's you've probably seen because I just cut literally all of the fluff.
You still playing Dusknoir in the
Nope.
Tarpagos? Sorry, you say nope? That was real
Nope.
quick. Nope,
No,
no
no
Dusknoir.
turtle, or no Dusknoir, no Pidgeot. It's
Yeah,
just
why would you need Pidgeot? You're just jewel seeking every turn.
yeah,
It's super good.
like
Jewel seeking is just too good.
so. What we found, or in my testing so far, we found like if you're just playing less one ofs, your deck's better.
Yeah,
And by playing a 1/1/1 Dusknoir and a 1/01 Pidgeot, your deck just becomes clunky.
yeah.
So
Um, I keep scrolling and I keep saying last one. This is the last deck we'll talk about from Sacramento. And because it's a nominee for Total Pile of the Week, there was one Greninja EX deck that made day 2 in Sacramento. It plays a 2-1-2 Greninja EX line, 2-1-2 Pidgeot line, 1-1 Charizard EX line, and Dusknoir line. Or Dusknoir's 2-1-1. But it has the Grand Tree in here, which is incredible. I love this. I will have to import this into live eventually. It plays the one of Thornton because they always have it. and they never miss Thornton. You have Pidgeot, might as well. This is crazy. So that's officially an anomaly for this week. We have one more that we'll talk about. Which we could just do right now. We'll have Brock pick the pile of the week right now. It's a good little segue between the two tournaments. The other
That one.
deck that made day 2 that is a must talk about. United Wings made day 2 in Sacramento. Brock, I know you hate this deck because you hate fun. But
It's,
United Wings is the coolest, okay? It played 2 Rowlet, 4 Dartrix, got your Tatsugiri, got your Ditto. All the birds are here, and it plays the new blender. The brilliant blender, discard 5 cards from your deck and discard them. Or I said that backwards. Search your deck up to 5 cards and discard them, then shuffle your deck. It's instantly amazing. It covers all the good weaknesses right now except for fighting in the game, but even the fighting weak stuff only caps out at like 230 anyway. So you're easily clearing 230 with this. I love Wings. Wings is great. I can't believe it made it. So Brock, as we segue, I need you to pick a pile of the week. Is it the Greninja box or is it Wings?
go back to your ninja pile. It's the wings.
That's crazy. I one shot that Charizard and I one shot that Pidgeot, bro. This Wings clears this deck. You're gonna pop Dust Snore on my Ditto? No chance.
You know what it doesn't kill is that big Greninja EX.
It does. We'll get to 310. I will gladly trade. I'll 2-shot a Greninja all day. I'm fine with it. I got Mirage Gate. This deck's not playing Cologne. They can't stop Manaphy. GG's.
Yeah, it plays Dusknoir.
No, it's fine. That's fine. I'm not worried about Mirage at all. None. Wings clears. For sure. Wings clears. All right. Now that I'm mad at Brock, we're going to Stuttgart. Let's talk about the meta breakdown for Stuttgart, because obviously we talked about Maridon winning Sacramento, and as soon as that happened, I knew it would be a huge spike in play because everyone loves the Dawn. No, I don't think anyone hates Dawn. It's just a fun deck, and it's a silly energy acceleration. But I didn't think it'd be 8%. I didn't think it'd make the day 1 metagraph. To be honest, I don't think its Bolt matchup's great. I don't think its Charizard matchup's great. Obviously, Raichu does fix it a little bit with Magneton, but like even then, like knocking out 2 Zards is still incredibly difficult for Maridon, and that was the biggest shock for me. And then Lost Box at 6% of day 1 in Stuttgart, which is happening this weekend. It actually finished. We're recording this on the Sunday night after Stuttgart. Any thoughts on the day 1 meta from Stuttgart?
It's the same.
It's the
Like
same.
it's the same. Like the 5 deck, or it's not the same, but it's essentially the same.
Big thing for me, and I don't know if this can look like, I don't know if this includes all of, like, I don't see Thorns being included in this. Stall went down to 4%, which is normally where it's at, but it's like it's good to see it getting less, I guess, in a way. I don't know. I just, me and Stall. I was shocked to see 4% Ceruledge because we got a best of the rest. They actually showed us best of the rest, so that was cool. Gardevoir going all the way down to 4% is the big one I want to highlight here. Like, I don't understand how it, obviously, like, Maridon's popular and went back, but that shouldn't have scared that many people, if that makes sense. Is that an instant reaction to Sacramento? Be like, oh, Maridon won. Let's just not play Gardevoir.
So I think you have less higher skilled players that are willing to play Gardevoir over in Europe than in America. Not fully, but I think there's more players over here that are willing to take like that bigger risk of like risking the whole tournament if you hit the wrong deck to do that over here.
Yeah, if you hit 3 Dawn, you're done, right? Like, it just, as a
Yeah,
Gardevoir
basically.
player. Yeah, I mean, honestly. Um, Yeah, I 4% just seems like a drop off that no one could
I
have
mean,
foreseen.
it only went from 8 to 4, right?
Hey, I lost half the players. I thought it would at least been 5%, 6%. I'm not asking for it to
That
be the second best deck played in the room. I hate watching people refinement all day just like anybody else. But like for it to fall off that hard, was kind of a shock to me. And then all the I guess suspect decks that I enjoy are down here too. Goldango's down here, Dragapult's down here, Roaring Moon's down here, Cerule GX. Now that's a deck. I think that's a lot of fun. I would not take it to an event, whether even if you're playing Palkia or Drillbur or whatever version of Cerulege you want to play. Super cool stuff. Mine are not here yet physically, so I can't play it in person yet, but they are on the way. So eventually, I will be at a local cup or challenge, or even just a random weekend playing Cerulege. I can't wait to play that deck. Yeah, so that's day one, Stuttgart. And then day two, you see kind of a not really switch up, but Terapagos became the top deck, and Reggie Drago just fell down all the way to 10%. And this goes back to the comfortability thing, but like that's still staggering to me for it to fall that far. Only 16. This is Dortmund. What are we doing here? Nope, wrong tournament. Wow, Twitter, I don't read. Oh my gosh, there's gotta be. I wish there's a better place to find all this stuff online. I need to bring back Pokédata. Stuttgart Pokemon Day 2. Someone's got the meta breakdown. Either way, where is it at? What are we doing here? I'm just gonna go to the YouTube video. Screw it. They put it right at the beginning. Subscriptions. No wonder why I thought it was so crazy. On the day 2 side. History. Mute. You're on. Here we go. Best of the rest, day 1. That graphic is still correct. Aha. No, that's LAIC. We keep moving. They show it eventually. Come on now. Here it is. Okay. Edit stuff. Anyways, day 2 analysis. Wow. That stinks. Okay. Gotta remember. So we did day 1 was right. Now we'll do editing. Day 2 wise, the meta does shift quite a bit. Maridon just completely falls off the map. And the main thing that catches your eye is the cloth. The cloth made the graphic as a main deck for day 2 at 10%. I know Raul already played it, and a lot of other big, I don't know if I said big name players.
Brothers.
Yeah, I was like, there's a lot of people playing cloth. Very similar versions to the one from Sacramento. And was it even on the best of the rest for the day 1?
No.
It wasn't. Yeah, that's crazy. So Cloth out of nowhere getting 31 players in day 2, which is absolutely crazy. Obviously, like Brock said, it's got a lot of good pieces, but like for it to jump up to 10% like that is nuts. But that also is probably the reason why Maridon fell more than it did. because like all the cloths would just be eaten right on up. Reggie, oh my gosh, Reggie Drago V Star still at 13%. Zard moved. No, Zard stayed in third. And then there's the Maridon down to 3%. And our Chaladon squeaking in at 3%, which is super cool. Dragapult falls off the best of the rest, which is the craziest thing to me as well. And like as a Dragapult stand, that stinks. Ancient Box up to 6%. Turbo Moon still at 5%. Like all this best, the rest is still the same. So not incredibly changing day two, but definitely still something to look at and keep in mind when we talk about the top 8 in general, because we do not have all the lists yet. But the top 8 ended like this: 2 Charizards, 1 Palkia Noctowl, 1 Gardevoir, 1 Dragapult's Iron Thorns, 2 Goldengo, and a Cloth. Oh man, there's so many decks to talk about, and there's just so much information going on. And this is where we segue into it kind of a little bit, but like, how do you feel about tournaments like this, where nothing seems to be the best deck besides one? Everything else is below 10%. This meta is crazy.
So I personally think all the formats where you have all of these decks is just not very intuitive to being competitive. Just for the fact of when you're prepping for a tournament and you're prepping well, you're testing everything, and when you're testing everything and everything's feeling very samey, it's not a good feeling, and it's just not a.
What do you mean by samey? Like same as at the previous format, or like all decks kind of feel the same, or like?
So every deck has there's like 3. So one, all of these decks have been good forever. Like every deck on here has been at least playable for like the past 2 or 3
Since
sets.
NAIC of last year.
Basically, the only thing that has changed is Turtle. Which Turtle has been going in and out of favor. Like Palkia has risen to power because of the new Noctowl engine, which is awesome. Which is initiated through the Turtle.
Right, and like Cloth itself. Like I think where there's like a Cloth in day 2 of NAIC with like the spicy season curry and stuff, right?
Yes.
But like even to that point, like it becomes such a better deck with Turtle and Area Zero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like you only have so many different also you can't. So someone like myself who I'm testing for all these tournaments, and I can't really narrow down the best 3 or 4 decks. Like you can gauge what's gonna be like top decks, but like when you're trying to pick a deck for a tournament and like every deck feels like it has similar win percentages because it has 2 bad matchups, 4 good matchups, and vice versa, it just doesn't feel good to play because like it's like, okay, which deck do I choose? Okay, 4 of these decks are the same. Now I'm flipping a coin to which one feels the best. Like it just does not feel good to play
I think
when you're taking it at a super high level.
Yeah, I think the best way to think about it, it's very dice rolly. Because like into that same example that you were talking about, like, and Charizard being 2 in top 8, and Goldengo being 2 in top 8, they both have extremely different favorable and not favorable matchups, right? Like Goldengo hates seeing Ancient Box. Charizard loves it. That's easy for them. Like that's just comes naturally, and like that's the type of format where it's almost too wide. And I think a lot of this goes away with rotation, obviously because V stars are gone, Radiants are gone, and we have a whole different game. But like right now, in these next 6 months, up until NAIC and I guess Milwaukee, you're gonna have these V stars who are gonna be rising and ebbing with flow because they just never partnered with these Pokemon prior to releasing. Like the perfect example is Regidrago itself with Dragapult. That was the first real rise of power. And then like now you're seeing Palkia abusing Area Zero, both for and against, right? Like Palkia easily hits 280 with Area Zero knocking out all these Regidrago V-Stars and whatnot. And stuff like that is super cool, but it's also reasons why I don't like the ends of formats. I think the biggest one we could talk about that we all have recent memory of is ADP. ADP was a terrible card. It was terrible for the game. It was awful. You know, Alter Creation GX will always be burned into the brain of Pokemon players. But I can't remember how many sets in between it was between Cosmic Eclipse and Sword and Shield being released. Do you remember? It had to have been at least 2.
Well, okay, so I think that format gets a lot of weird stipulation because the thing is ADP wasn't the problem. It was the fact that we had Zacian with it.
Oh, and that's exactly my point. Is ADP wasn't completely broken until Sword and Shield came out, and Zacian could basically insta charge, attach energy for free, and then do 250 every single turn into a format where your highest HP was 300 in Whale Lord GX, and then Charizard Reshiram was 270.
Yeah.
And I mean, attach a tool, and you got. I think we had some type of choice belt then as well, or some other damage modifier at that point.
Yes, but you didn't play it because
Yeah.
of the EX or the GX and Vs. Like you couldn't hit both of them.
Right, exactly. It was one or the other. Right, I remember that now. But either way, and that's exactly my point, is ADP wasn't crazy broken until Zacian came out, and then it's all, again, that was the last year of that format, especially because that was like the very end right before COVID, and so it's all burned into our brains of that deck being so, so good. And this is happening now with all these V-Stars. Obviously not to the same magnitude. But anyways, I digress. But this top 8 is completely different from Sacramento. There's not a single Regidrago V-Star in here. And I can't explain to you why or how, but Charizard's a pretty good indicator of that. Like, Charizard doesn't mind playing against Regidrago V-Star at all. They have no way of hitting 330. So you always get 2-shot anyway. But both Charizard decks in top 8 made it to the final, an all-Finnish Finland final. The only thing that caught my eye with these Charizard lists is they play the not ability Charmeleon. Do you know of any reason for that or why that would happen? I think both of them do, right? I'll look at the other one real fast. No, the one player played the ability Charmeleon. One player did not. It must. I can't think of anything. So the deck list error.
Mimikyu.
Just to do the 70. But you had
it does not. It does 90.
No, the other one does. Yeah, but just to hit the 70. But you played Dusknoir anyway, though. Like if it was that big of a problem.
I mean, going double Mimikyu.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
If you want me to be
that's your
honest.
best guess. No, 100%.
I've played the 100 HP one before, like at Indianapolis last year, and it was for Mimikyu.
Yeah, and like obviously the extra damage is
super I actually didn't. I played the 70 damage one, so I don't know why you would play the 100 damage. The extra HP maybe. Like, I don't know what the 10 damage would do.
Because it does 90 discard energy. You can't even use Fire Blast. It must be, I don't know. I mean, you can, but that's more than half your energies. They only played 5 energies total.
Yeah.
No idea. Anyways, but I thought that was kind of cool. Other than that, it's just Charizard that we've seen. Even Louisville is very similar to this. And this is my one gripe with Charizard. I played one in a cup today, and they prized both Charizard. Like, how are we playing Charizard with still only 2 EXs. Like, it's the main energy accelerant and the main attacker of this deck, and there's only 2 in here. Like, I mean, it sounds terrible, but like, I don't know, cut a rod and play a third Charizard or something. Like,
no, you only need 2 Charizards.
oh, bro, it blows my mind. I don't know.
It's the same. So, are you saying you need to do that for Gardevoir? Gardevoir only plays 2. Has always played just 2.
I think the thing with Gardevoir,
It can't play the game without Big Guardy.
it can't play the game without Big Guardy. It does make me mad. I'll be honest, it does. I don't know. I know it's always been 2, and I also don't like Guardy as much either. But like, it just makes me mad. It just does. I feel like it's your entire strategy. You know, like, you just,
The more one-ofs you can fit into the deck, the better your deck is.
yeah,
Logically. Especially into a deck that can search their whole deck every turn.
yeah. But Gardevoir can't do that. They just refinement. But yeah, I get it. I do, because like, you just pitch the one-ofs that you don't need.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have the Palkia list, but gosh, but just play 3 Charizard. I don't know, dude. It just makes me mad. But congrats to Arnie. Arani. I don't know how to say your name. I'm so sorry. But they took down all of Stuttgart, 1,700 players. I don't know how many in day 2 yet, because it's not on Limitless. The next deck it is Gardevoir we're going to talk about. And why we're talking about this Gardevoir, it's because it plays 2 new cards. We'll talk about this one quickly because it's awesome. But the Precious Trolley seems broken in Gardevoir. Like, who needs Poffins? 1 Poffin, 1 Trolley. That's all you need. Get every basic Pokemon you want out of your deck and put it onto your bench. Obviously up to 5 or 8, depending on your circumstances. Or I guess, yeah, you could do 8, technically, if you had a Terra Pokemon inactive. But Trolley's crazy. Trolley's absolutely nuts. Wasn't an A-spec on my radar. I packed one in a pre-release. I just put it was sitting in my giant stack of cards below my camera as we speak for the longest time. Trolley just seems amazing in these Arven type decks or the Irida type deck. Thoughts on Trolley? What are you gonna try throwing Trolley in?
Nothing.
That's crazy, bro. It's so good.
I think Trolley's Trolley bails you out when you're not playing well or you draw slightly awkward. Because the thing is you're still because look in this deck specifically, if you prize Trolley, you lose.
Correct, but that's like what's the percent? Like 1.2% chance you prize it?
No, it's 1 in 6 games for prizing a one of.
Yeah. And then they play.
Or no, it's lower than that because that's the prize 1 out of 4. If you play 4 and prizing 1, it's 1 in 6. So I think it's like 1 in.
It's the same odds as
10, 1 in
prizing
12.
your Drifloon. Yeah.
Yes, which happens quite often.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially playing the deck.
I get it.
So that's my whole concept of prizing it. Like, it allows you to play more cards. I understand it, but the best part of the deck, especially for Gardevoir, is being a consistent deck, being able to do the same thing every game and just pressuring your opponent that way.
Yeah.
So that's what 4 Buddy Poffins allows you to do. The Trolley and cutting down all of your Buddy Poffins. Now, if this deck played 3 Buddy Poffins and the Trolley, then we can talk. I still wouldn't like it, but that is the logic.
Yeah. And to continue the process of deck building here, we know exactly what 3 cards he cut Buddy Poffin for. This player played 3 Call Bell. I don't know if you were aware of this or not. They played 3 Call Bell.
Yeah.
You can only
I only saw 1.
Yeah, they played 3 Call Bell. Instantly gets a supporter, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. You can only use this card if you go second and only during your first turn. And then the rest of the time, it's just Kirlia fodder. But even then, you want to Kirlia energy at the beginning anyway. But, this is crazy. It's just basically, instead of playing Pokegear, you play Call Bell. Which is kind of crazy.
logically, I think yes, it sounds very powerful, but the fact that you're building your deck to go second in a format where everything wants to go first,
Yeah,
I think is very scary. Um,
I agree.
I think that logic in deck again. I'm not the person that did well with it. That person has a better finish than I do. I can't talk too bad about it.
Yeah, I mean
But
they won a lot of money today.
from deck building logic, that just does not like just choosing to go second in this format feels like you're giving up so many games. Um,
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too, and like this is one of my gripes with Pokemon compared to other card games. Back in the day, I want to say 2012 is when they changed it, maybe even earlier. But during the setup phase, you got to look at your hand before the coin flip to go first or
that
second.
got changed in 2006.
No, because I was doing it in 2008. I know it wasn't 2006. It was definitely draw your hand first in 2008. So that's why I don't know the year because we played Diamond and Pearl with that kind of style. I was clay. I was if
I
I had
know
clay.
I know 2010. That's exactly not. That is not how it is.
Right. No, I get what
Because
you're saying though.
those are the only format. So I haven't gone back and revisit like between 2006 and
Yeah,
2010.
you haven't done DP stuff.
I haven't, yeah, because those aren't very beloved formats. So
Machamp, dude.
I
2008
haven't.
was sick.
You can play Machamp in 2010, and it's still really good.
I know it's the bet. Take out Machamp is the guy. Anyways, um, this deck screams that. I don't think Pokemon will ever go back to that. I can't remember. I was a child, so I couldn't tell you what was wrong with that. I don't know why they ever did change it.
It was hard to play, from what I've been told.
Maybe
Like it
I
was
don't
hard
know.
to teach because it's like, okay, you're doing all this, and now you're flipping.
Yeah, I don't know.
But also
Yeah,
during that era, we had a bunch of cards that interacted with who went first.
correct. Yeah, there was definitely more of that.
You
There
had the
was more.
Sableye
There was
that
more
said if
call
you
bell type of cards. Obviously, call bells go second if you go second type of thing. But it's literally the like you said. It's like it's the same concept. If you go first, then you get to do this. So yeah, I that might be why. But those cards started disappearing black and white. I don't remember those cards being a huge thing after that
know.
because they obviously
I
changed the
remember them
rule.
at the end of the platinum era.
Yeah. Anyways, back on track. Yeah, it's just the Gardevoir list seems super cool, super fun. I might as well just play Pokegear, in my opinion. If you're gonna make this change, obviously getting Call Bell and getting the exact supporter you want is awesome, super guaranteed. But like, you can play Pokegear all game, and you're thinning so much of your deck with Curlia. I just don't see how Pokegear isn't the exact same results. But like obviously on your second turn of the game, making sure you get Arvin Trolley or Arvin one Buddy Buddy Poffin if your Trolley's prized. I could see where that makes more sense than Gear from a one turn basis. But the rest of the 5, 6 turns of the game, it just doesn't make sense. Everything else on this Gardevoir list is the exact same. There's no new attackers, one Monkey Dory, like it's just Gardevoir, which is other than that super cool. Still playing TM Evos, all that stuff. Now we'll talk about Cloth real quick. 'Cause it's the exact same list. Cloth is super sick. Cloth is still good. We mentioned it already. I already played it. A lot of big name players on it. This one does play the Genesect though, and I don't know how I feel about it. Obviously, you have enough bench space to play it now, but like, what ace spec are you so scared of that you have to play this? Is it just Stamp
Probably Prime.
and Prime Catcher to get rid of your Brute Bonnets? Yeah, maybe. But even then, you still play the 3 booster cat. I get that though.
I don't like it, but
It just seems like
yes.
a waste of a spot on your bench. You played this Terapagos Area Zero package to create more space in your on your bench. This just seems like It could be any other card to be fine with because, I mean, bro, Stamp would be devastating though. This deck does though play the trolley. I can't. Do you remember if Sacramento's played the trolley? I think it did. I don't know if it did.
I don't know.
I don't know if it did or not, but trolley's still good. I like trolley. Trolley's sick. And the reason why I think trolley's sick, we'll talk about in a second. But this list is super fun. Cloth is just a fun deck. Super effective glasses is good against Zard. I'm not sure what happened in top 8 or who they faced or who they lost to. We don't have that information yet because I guess it technically 5 through 8. They wouldn't tell us who they faced, right? That's just like based on seeding from going into cut.
Yeah, 5. Yes, 5 through 8.
Yeah, so like I know Mads was the first seed going into top cut, so he must have lost. Obviously, he lost to one of the top 4, but he was just the top seed going into cut, so he automatically gets 5th. Yeah, and this is the prime time, the show. We have Iron Thorns, Dragapult, rounding out the top 8, and this deck is so much fun. As a Dragapult stan, I played it today in a cup, and I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have just played Miraidon, but I had so much fun playing this deck. I saw it day 1, round 5 on stream, and it wasn't published yet, and I instantly had to build it. I did the whole classic go to YouTube times 0.25 speed, and I was just trying to see everything when he was searching his deck. And I was like, I memed on this deck, and I am a hypocrite. I am sorry, because I think one of our friends, Sheena, was mentioning it to me one time, or she thought about playing it before, or some. I think it was one of the cups that she was talking about on Twitter, and this was an option. And this actual group played this deck in Gdansk, but instead of the Toad Screw line, they played the Giraffe rig line. And Trolley wasn't out yet. They were playing it with Buddy Puffins and stuff. But this deck is so much fun. I can't underestimate or understate that ever again. It might be the best way to play Dragapult. Period. It might. I don't know. I don't play enough to be the expert in that kind of scenario. But Trolley makes this deck move. Obviously, the Iron Thorns, very basic. It slows down your opponent. No rule box abilities, no nothing. That gives you time to Evo into your Jacloaks, and you just start going. And it's so clean. The list I played only played 2 Lightning, and then 4 Fire Energy, 4 Psychic Energy. And the main thing that I think it was missing that I didn't even think about because I didn't think it was a good enough card was Crispin. The power to just play 2 energies every single turn is amazing for Dragapult. There was multiple times today where I would Crispin to Dragapult on turn 2 because I evoed into Jacloaks. After Recon Directive, I would Crispin to there, Booster Capsule, the active Thorns, and I would snipe whatever I wanted because they haven't evolved yet. They have Iron Thorns in play. They can't use their abilities to draw cards or do any kind of setup. This deck is awesome. Thoughts on Iron Thorns after my rant?
I don't like the deck.
I know you don't. That's okay. It's fine. The reason why this deck is good right now, and I don't know, because it seems like the tech is kind of out. But this Toad Scroll is broken. All of your terrible matchups as Dragapult are solved by Iron Thorns and this Toad Scroll. Do you remember what this Toad Scroll does? Obviously, it's on the screen now, so if you read it, you've seen it.
Yep.
This Toad Scroll is nuts. It stops Pokestop, it stops Stretcher, it stops Superior Energy Retrieval, it stops any card from your discard pile going back into your opponent's hand. And this actually happened today, and I tried to stop my opponent on accident. He announced Pokestop. I was like, oh, hey, wait. I got Toad School in play. Like, oh, he could still do it, though, technically. And he was like, yeah, oh, I could still do it. I read the card, no big deal. And then he did it, hit Chorus's Experiment and Palpad. And he tried to grab the Palpad. I was like, wait, you can't grab Palpad because of Toad Scroll. this card is awesome. The secret rare art is incredible. Look at this. He's just a goofy looking dude. This is a perfect Tyler deck, and I will be grinding this deck on ladder until I am Arceus tier. I think this is incredible. Obviously, Brock is not a fan, and that's okay. It's totally fine with me. But as soon as I saw this list on Saturday, I knew it was crazy. And he was actually, like I said, the number one seed. I think he was 10, 1, and 2 after all the Swiss rounds. And then I think he lost to Charizard in top 8, which is terrible because I did beat a Charizard today and I lost to a Charizard. The Charizard I lost to was a misplay on my own fault. So make sure you are comfortable with the deck before you take it to an event or a League Cup, unless you're not worried about it like me. Obviously, making top 8 would have been sick at my League Cup, but like I'm just there for having a good time and hang out with friends and play Pokemon. Does kind of feel bad not making cut sometimes, but that's okay. Iron Thorn Dragapult, grade A certified top tier pile, top tier pile in a good way. The last 2 decks are Goldengo, and they are absolutely stunning, especially because it's Owen Kammerman, who won Dortmund last year with Goldengo. Am I right in saying that? No, he won with Chen Pao. He won Dortmund with Chen Pao last year.
Yeah, because he won back-to-back.
He won back-to-back. Yep, I remember that. No, was it back-to-back? Or are these not sorted by date? He won Chen, and then he won it with Mew. That's right. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it is there. But it was a special event, so it threw me off that the cash wasn't here on Limitless.
Yep.
Owen Kammerman, we don't have his list specifically yet, so I don't know what's different about it. But then, as everyone knows in the Pokemon community, Tuan Lei got top 8 with Goldengo Togekiss. Super cool. The Tuan Lei does all the, or at least it's where I go for all the translations of Japanese cards being released for our future formats. And really cool to see them succeed, I guess. I just one of the people you see on the internet that just seems like a good person. And they do a huge service to all Pokemon fans. And to know that they are also doing really well in the game, which is really cool. The only difference in this list compared to Sacramento, they are playing the optimal Togepi, which, Brock, I don't know if you knew that there's an optimal Togepi. And it's 2/2 line. And like you said, you're not a big Goldengo fan, so that's okay. But there's a Togepi that you can heal 10 damage off of your active. So this Togepi prevents the Dragapult play on double Goldengo.
Is there not a 70 HP Togepi?
There is not. Max is 50.
Then yeah, that's the optimal.
The one in Sacramento also has 50 HP and 1 retreat cost, and it just does. I think it's round for 2 energies, which is the one I have. I didn't even realize this Togepi existed until I saw this list today. Yeah, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may heal 10 damage from your active. It's not whenever you want, so that's kind of stinks. But yeah, just healing the 10 damage off the Goldengo just helps your Dragapult / Regidrago matchup just that little bit, because you don't really have. I mean, you have Fez, but like Goldengo's not getting knocked out by Alolan Zekidor in the Regidrago mirror or Regidrago match. Energy Search Pro still the choice for Tuan. I wish we could see Owen's list and see how different it is. I don't even know if he played the Palkia or not. He might have played the Palkia version, to be honest. I have no idea. But Goldengo, 2 in top 8, super sick. And with that being said, any closing thoughts, Brock? I think we covered everything. Anything else you want to talk about real fast? We're at 1 hour and 9. Oh my gosh, too many rants for me today. Obviously, I just want to talk Pokemon.
So the only thing I have to mention is the circling back to the day 2, lowering the day 2 standard.
Sure.
The only fear I have, and it's the same fear that I have when they make anything easier in a competitive environment, is Now there's going to be an asterisk whenever you make a day two. From people who have made day twos under the harder standards, there's always going to be an asterisk now if you make a day two at a 5-2-1 record.
Yeah, at least for this season, for sure.
There's going to be that asterisk, which some people, like you said, like yourself, and I have some friends who just getting a day two is their goal. And if that's your goal, ID into day two, do whatever you want and not care because you've achieved that goal. And
Yeah.
if that's your goal, that's your goal. Don't let anybody else say anything about it. But from that same perspective is I've seen a lot of people get mad when people such as myself, I have multiple day twos. I've done that before. I'm not going to be IDing into day two. I'm going to be playing that last round, giving myself a shot at a top 8 or a better shot at money. So it's like both sides of the coin. It's
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Now we're having that hold up because this was a big thing last year when we were playing 9
yep,
rounds.
yep,
Do you ID into day two, or do you give yourself the bigger shot? And
yep,
that definitely is very evident now with this rule change, especially with it only being 8 rounds. 9 made
yep,
more sense for that conversation. Now there's, if you were a person who was wanting to advance in that hard type of bracket and make it into asymmetrical cut, because going 6-2 into day two, you've most of the time, and I don't have the records in front of me from today. I don't think any made any symmetrical cut today. But in most tournaments that we'll play in, 6-2 has a shot at making day asymmetrical cut going into day two. Not all the
yeah,
time, not every tournament, but you at least have a chance before round 1 starts. And so, yeah, that's a very good point.
yeah. So
Didn't even
that's
think
my
about it.
only. Those are the only things that I've really have to say about it. I'm kind of neutral on it at the end of the day, because it's not really going to affect how I go about tournaments. My goal is to go as far in the tournament and to cash the tournament. So that means I have to go into the day at X2.
Yeah.
So um, that's the only thing that I have on that is for those who make day two, be proud of your day two. But also don't get frustrated with people when they don't want to ID with
I
you
think,
in
yeah,
said
this
day two.
circles back around to kind of, I think we've talked about this before. Big thing in Pokemon, and a big thing for yourself and myself, is set goals that are obtainable for you, right? Like, my goal is still to day two and just compete in league cups and compete locally for fun. If I go to a regional, I want a day two. If I don't, that happens, whatever, right? But like, don't judge somebody for having a higher goal because they are more experienced, or that's just their goal. They don't even have to be more experienced. Say they think they're really good at the game and they want to go for, top cut money, like Brock said. Like, everyone has their own personal goals, and I do this. I did this a lot when I was younger, and I don't do it as much now. But like, your measuring tape or your yardstick is your yardstick. Don't get mad at somebody else for having a different yardstick. You know what I mean? Like, don't have, like, it makes no sense to do that. It's wasted energy to compare yourself to a different Pokemon player just because they are more or less successful than you, right? Like, that's just the main thing that is a good thing to remember. We're all on different racetracks of life or in our Pokemon journeys. And so remember that. It took Ash 20 years to win the league. So, anyways, I think it's a great point. I think it's a great point. And we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast and this little family journey. And we appreciate you guys so much for listening and hanging out with us. And you have a great week. We're hoping to put these back out regularly again, but I also have to take a 2-week hiatus. So we'll talk to Brock about that on the side and whatnot here in the middle at the end of December. So we appreciate you again so much, and we're going to get this, and we're going to have this for fun, and we're going to do this whenever we feel like it. And thank you for being a part of it. You guys have a great week.
See you.
Boom. Love it.